Hi, I'm Tom Hart from the Sequential Artists Workshop. We teach comics and graphic novels here in Gainesville, Florida.
This session, comics. Comics is a language, and like any language, it has rules. But within those rules, it has lots and lots of freedom. The main rule in comics is that pictures combine to create story. That's really it. You may ask, well, what about words? Well, true. We do tend to use words, but words are a kind of picture too. And so they still fall in the category of pictures. We'll talk more about that in other videos.
For instance, here's Will Eisner and Walt Kelly using words in a very visual manner.
Well, what about word balloons? Or speed lines? Or anger and sweat beads?
I would argue that these are a sort of dialect. They're part of the language, but they're individual dialects.
In the same way, if you look all around the world and even subcultures inside certain countries, you'll find people render things all sorts of different ways, whether it's sweat beads or speed lines or even costumes or even facial expressions. It's like if you're down here in the South, you might say, "Are these y'all's pies?" But they'd think you were kind of crazy in Pittsburgh, where they'd say, "Are these pies yins, guys?" Or elsewhere, where they might just say, "These belong to yous." But right now, we're only interested in combining pictures to tell a story. Whether it's this little fellow cracking a rock in half, or this little creature kicking some other one off a log, or this crow, groggy-eyed, waking up from the alarm clock. Pictures combine to create story. For instance, here's Nancy. She's lying in bed, it's late at night. She could be thinking about anything. But if we had a panel before it, say this picture of her getting a kiss, now it looks like she's lying in bed, worrying about the implications or something. Here it's a little more complicated. She's thinking about this crash. But did she throw that shoe? Is it her house? Is she scared? Is she remorseful? Here she's probably thinking about that cat keeping her awake all night. This one's a little more perplexing. Is she thinking about that radio? Is that a new technology? Is she looking at that guy's haircut? What? Now here, this one's interesting. This guy's staring at some chicken or turkey or something, and in that second panel, is he hungry? Is he feeling sick to his stomach? Is there a gap in between panel 1 and 2, a large gap of time where maybe he ate that whole turkey and now he's full? Could be any number of things going on here. But once we see the entire context and the entire sequence of images, the author has created an actual simple story which is easy to follow. He walks in, he sees a banquet, he's hungry, and so he eats. The comic stories can be just as simple as you saw here, or infinitely complex.
So that's really it. Pictures combine to tell stories, whether it's 2 panels or thousands of panels, thousands of pictures that tell an enormous story, whether it's kids' comics in Europe, superhero comics in America, whether it's in Japanese and upside down, or it's drawn by hand, or it's carved out of wood, or whether it's all done in photographs. It's all using pictures to tell stories. We'll get into a lot more depth in later videos.